We need to talk. Those 5 words changed everything. It was the night before my wedding and I was sitting alone in the bridal suite, my wedding dress hanging in the corner like a ghost. The room was dimly lit with candles, soft music playing in the background. My phone buzzed on the vanity and I glanced at it with a tired smile. I assumed it was James, my fiancé, or maybe Madison, my maid of honor and my best friend since high school, checking in to make sure I was calm. I had no reason to expect anything out of the ordinary. After all, James and I had been together for 4 years. He was loyal, dependable, kind, the type of guy who opened doors, sent flowers for no reason, and always made me feel safe. Madison had been my rock since we were 15. She had stood by me through heartbreaks, college, career setbacks. Always there, always loyal. So when I unlocked my phone and saw a message from an unknown number, I almost ignored it. Just watch this. Attached was a video. I hesitated for a moment, then tapped the screen. The video started playing immediately. It was dark, but the figures were clear. James was lying on a hotel bed, shirtless. His head was tilted back, eyes half closed. A woman climbed onto his lap, her long blonde hair falling down her back. She laughed, a sound I'd known my entire life. Madison. She leaned down, her lips brushing against his neck. His hands slid up her thighs. My heart stopped. My stomach twisted painfully as James murmured something and Madison giggled in response. The video cut out. My hands were shaking as another message came through. He was never yours to begin with. My mind raced. My heart was thundering in my chest. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But then another message came through, this one with screenshots. Text messages between James and Madison. Madison, she doesn't need to know. You know she can't handle the truth. James, you're right. He's too fragile. Madison, are you going to tell her after the wedding? James, maybe. Or maybe we'll just keep it going. I couldn't breathe. My best friend. My fiancé. Together. For how long? Weeks? Months? Longer? I dropped the phone on the vanity and stumbled to the bathroom, gripping the edge of the sink to steady myself. I forced myself to breathe, to calm down, to think. I should have been screaming, crying, throwing things. That I felt cold, numb. My brain was already beginning to calculate. I had options. Option 1. Confront them now. Blow up the wedding. Create a massive scene. Option 2. Act like nothing was wrong. Let them think they had gotten away with it and destroy them from the inside. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. My face was pale, my eyes wide. They thought I was weak, fragile. They thought they had won. They were wrong. I reached for my phone, saved the video and the screenshots to multiple folders and set up a backup. Then I deleted the conversation. I washed my face, adjusted my robe and walked calmly back into the suite. My hands were steady as I poured myself a glass of champagne and took a slow sip. James and Madison had made a mistake. Now I was going to make them regret it. I heard the knock at my door about 30 minutes later. Come in. Madison slipped through the door, looking radiant in her emerald green dress. Her blonde hair was curled perfectly and her makeup was flawless. Hey, she said brightly, sitting on the edge of the bed. How are you feeling? A little nervous, I lied, smiling softly. But mostly excited. Madison's smile tightened. That's good, she said. You know, I added, I don't know how I would have made it through all this without you. Her eyes darkened for a split second before her smile brightened again. That's what friends are for, she said. Exactly. Madison leaned in, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. James is so lucky to have you. I smiled. And I'm so lucky to have you both. Her smile faltered slightly, but she recovered quickly. Okay, she said, standing. I'm going to check on James and make sure he's ready for tomorrow. Of course. Madison turned to leave and I watched her walk away, calm and collected. At 11:45 I sent a message to Madison's fiancé. Oh yes, she was engaged too. Dylan deserved to know. Dylan, Madison's fiancé, had been nothing but kind to me over the years. He deserved the truth. I thought you should know what's been happening. Attached was the video. The screenshots. At midnight I put my phone on silent and went to bed. Tomorrow was going to be interesting. The morning of the wedding was bright and clear. I stood in front of the mirror as the makeup artist finished my lipstick. My hair was pulled back into an elegant updo, my veil draping perfectly down my back. "You look incredible," Madison said from behind me. "Thanks," I replied. James arrived at the venue 30 minutes before the ceremony. He kissed me on the cheek and squeezed my hand. "You ready?" he asked. "Absolutely," I smiled. James was wearing a sharp black tuxedo. His hand lingered a second too long on my hip before he walked toward his groomsmen. Madison appeared at my side a moment later. "You sure you're okay?" she asked. "Better than ever," I said. She gave me a strange look. At 3 p.m. the ceremony began. The music started. The guests stood. I stood at the back of the aisle, Madison at my side. The priest smiled. "If anyone knows a reason why these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace." And that's when Dylan stood up. "Actually, I have something to say." Madison's face turned white. James's head snapped toward him. "What are you doing?" Madison hissed. Dylan pulled out his phone. "This," he said, holding up the video. She thought she could hide it, but she can't. The room fell silent. James's face drained of color. Madison's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Are you?" I said, stepping toward her. "Because it looks to me like you knew exactly what you were doing." James stumbled forward. "Wait, this isn't what it looks like." "No." I smiled coldly. "Because it looks exactly like you've been sleeping with my best friend for months." Gasps. Whispers. "You set this up," James said, his voice shaking. "No," I replied calmly. "You did this to yourself." Security appeared at the back of the room. I nodded toward James and Madison. "Escort them out." James protested, but security grabbed his arm. Madison was sobbing as she followed. I turned toward the stunned guests. "Apologies for the interruption," I said smoothly. "It seems the wedding is off." And I walked down the aisle. In control. This wasn't heartbreak. This was justice. And Madison and James were about to find out exactly how ruthless karma could be. I didn't cry. After walking out of the wedding venue with my head held high, I checked into a nearby hotel. The wedding guests were still buzzing, trying to figure out what had happened, whispering about the video Dylan had shown and the fallout that followed. Madison and James had left in disgrace. James had tried to follow me, but security stopped him at the door. I made sure of that. I sat on the hotel bed, removed my veil, and took a long breath. My phone vibrated on the nightstand. I already knew who it was. "James, please call me." "Let me explain." "James, it wasn't like that. We made a mistake." "James, just talk to me." "Madison, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for you to find out that way." "Madison, please call me." "Madison, can we talk?" I smiled coldly and turned off my phone. They thought this was over. They thought the worst had already happened. They had no idea what was coming. Because the wedding? That was only step one. The next morning I was up at 6. My mind was clear. My plan was forming rapidly. I started with James. James was a rising star at his company, an associate director in business development. He'd always taken pride in his work, in his reputation as the golden boy of the company. His boss had even attended the wedding. Too bad I had receipts. I opened my laptop and pulled up the folder I had compiled. The messages between James and Madison, screenshots of the emails James had sent Madison from his work account, and even a few suggestive photos he'd sent while he was supposed to be leading meetings. Sure was going to have a field day. I crafted a careful, professional email. Subject: urgent. Misconduct and misuse of company resources. To whom it may concern, please find attached evidence of professional misconduct involving James Carter. These communications reflect inappropriate use of company time and resources, including sexually explicit messages and personal engagements with a colleague during working hours. Given the nature of this evidence, I trust you will handle this situation with the discretion and professionalism it warrants. I attached the evidence and hit send. That was going to hit him where it hurt. Next, I turned my attention to Madison. Madison worked for a PR firm that specialized in handling high-profile clientele. Celebrities, athletes, even politicians. She'd worked hard to climb the ladder and establish herself as someone who could be trusted with confidential information. Would be a shame if people found out about her lack of discretion. I sent an anonymous message to the head of Madison's firm with screenshots of the texts she had sent James, including ones where they made fun of her boss, her clients, and even the firm's biggest sponsor. It was all right there in black and white. Just thought you should know what's been happening behind the scenes. By noon, I had settled into a cozy corner of the hotel bar with a glass of wine and a Caesar salad when the text started coming through. James, you sent something to my boss. James, what the hell, Claire? James, this could ruin me. I smiled and took a sip of my wine. Madison, my boss called me into a meeting. Madison, did you send those messages to the company? Madison, why would you do this to me? I didn't respond. By 3 p.m., James had been suspended pending a formal investigation. Madison's job was also under review. I had done more damage in one day than they had done to me in a year. But I wasn't done yet. The next day I scheduled a meeting with Dylan, Madison's former fiancé. He was waiting at a cafe downtown when I arrived. He stood when he saw me looking a little uncertain. Claire, he said, sitting down across from me. Thank you for meeting me. Are you okay? He asked. I smiled. Getting there. Dylan sighed and ran a hand through his dark hair. I honestly didn't believe it at first. But then, the messages, the video. It's real, I said simply. How long? At least a year. Dylan shook his head. I knew something was off. Madison always had an excuse. Always knew too much about you and James's relationship. I thought maybe she was just being protective, not sleeping with my fiancé, I finished for him. Dylan looked at me carefully. So why are we here? Because they don't get to just walk away from this, I said calmly. They deserve to feel every ounce of humiliation they tried to put us through. Dylan's eyes darkened. What are you thinking? I reached into my purse and pulled out a small flash drive. This has everything, the screenshots, the videos, the emails. What am I supposed to do with this? Whatever you want, I said. Leak it to the press. Send it to their bosses. Burn it. I don't care. Just make sure they don't walk away clean. Dylan stared at the flash drive for a long moment before sliding it into his pocket. You know, you're scary when you're calm like this, he said. They underestimated me, I said. Big mistake. That night, Madison showed up at my apartment. She was crying, her makeup smeared. Claire, please, let me explain. I opened the door, leaned against the frame and crossed my arms. Explain what? I asked coldly. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. Madison said. James and I, it just sort of happened. We didn't mean to hurt you. Didn't mean to hurt me? I repeated, laughing. You've been sleeping with my fiancé for a year, Madison. He was confused. Madison insisted. He wasn't confused when he was in bed with you, I said flatly. Madison's eyes widened. You're not going to forgive me, are you? No. Madison's breath hitched. But we've been friends since we were 15. I know. I closed the door. The story broke 3 days later. An anonymous source had leaked the screenshots and the video. James's company terminated him immediately. Madison's firm released a statement saying they had parted ways with her. Social media exploded. James and Madison became the villains of the week. Articles were written. Madison's former clients posted angry tweets about her lack of professionalism. James's company released a statement confirming his termination for misconduct. Madison's parents issued a quiet apology to mine. James's mother sent me flowers and a note saying she was heartbroken about the wedding. I didn't care. Because this was never about public opinion. This was about letting them burn. James showed up at my apartment a week later. Please, he said. We can fix this. We. I repeated, raising an eyebrow. I love you, he said. No, James, I said calmly. You love yourself. He reached for me, but I stepped back. You don't get to come back from this, I said. You're done. He stared at me for a moment, then left without another word. I watched him walk down the street. And smiled. Because James and Madison were never mine to begin with. But their downfall? That belonged to me. James didn't try to contact me again after that night. Not directly. But I knew he was unraveling. It had been 3 days since the story broke. 3 days since James lost his job. 3 days since Madison was fired from her PR firm and publicly humiliated. And 3 days since every single person in our social circle found out exactly what had happened. By the time I woke up on the 4th day, my phone was already buzzing with messages. Sarah. OMG Claire. Did you see James's LinkedIn? Rachel. Madison posted some pathetic story about healing and forgiveness. Dylan. You free for drinks tonight? I think we need to toast to karma. I smiled and sat up in bed, stretching as sunlight streamed through the windows. I had been waiting for this. Sliding out of bed, I padded to the kitchen and poured myself a cup of coffee before opening my laptop. Time to check the damage. James's LinkedIn profile had been wiped clean overnight. His job title was gone. His list of professional accomplishments? Gone. But the comments? Oh, the comments were still there. I can't believe this guy was running major deals while screwing around with his fiancé's best friend. No wonder the last quarter's numbers were garbage. Should have focused less on his extracurricular activities and more on his job. I worked with him on a project last year. The guy took credit for half the work the team did. There were hundreds of comments. Some from former colleagues, some from industry insiders who had apparently been waiting for James to fall from grace. A notification popped up. James Carter has updated his status. Currently seeking new opportunities. I laughed out loud. Seeking new opportunities? Oh, James. How cute. The finance world was small, and I had made sure that the right people saw the evidence. James wasn't just unemployed, he was radioactive. No one was going to hire him after this. Next, I checked Madison's social media. Her PR firm had released a statement that morning. We have officially parted ways with Madison Harper due to a violation of company ethics and professional standards. Brutal. Madison's Instagram was a complete mess. Her last post, a pathetic, moody black and white picture of herself looking out a window with the caption, "Forgiveness is the hardest lesson to learn," had been bombarded with comments. Forgiveness. Girl, you slept with your best friend's fiancé. Sit down. Forgiveness is earned. You don't deserve it. Madison, maybe stay off social media for a while. Her follower count had plummeted by thousands overnight. And it got better. Because her PR firm was well known. A big name in the industry. Her being fired wasn't just gossip. It was professional suicide. I checked my messages. Rachel. Madison reached out to me last night. Wants to clear the air. I ignored her. Good. Madison was about to find out how lonely it feels when the spotlight shifts, and all that's left is silence. Later that afternoon, I got a text from Dylan. Dylan. Hey Claire. Check your email. Curious, I opened my inbox. Dylan had forwarded me an email James had sent him that morning. Subject, let's talk. Dylan. I know things have gotten complicated between us. I made a mistake, we both know that. But we've been friends for a long time. I think we owe it to ourselves to talk this through. Madison is going through a lot. He's struggling. Maybe it would help if we sat down together and cleared the air. Let me know if you're open to talking. Bess. James. I stared at the screen for a long moment. James was already in damage control mode. Trying to reconnect with Dylan. Trying to salvage his reputation. Pathetic. I forwarded the email to Dylan. Me, feel free to tell him to go to hell. Dylan responded with a laughing emoji. Later that night, Rachel sent me a screenshot from Madison's Instagram story. A black screen. White text. Sometimes you learn the hard way who you can't trust. I laughed. Madison was already spinning the narrative, trying to make herself the victim. Dylan and I met for drinks 2 nights later. To karma, Dylan said, raising his glass. To karma, I agreed. So, what's next for you? Dylan asked. I smiled. Moving on. Dylan grinned. Same. We clinked glasses. James and Madison were done. Me? I was just getting started. It was a Thursday evening when it happened. Dylan and I had been getting closer since the wedding disaster. He wasn't exactly boyfriend material, at least not yet, but we'd been hanging out a lot. That night we were sitting at a sleek rooftop bar downtown, the kind with overpriced cocktails and dramatic city views, when James walked in. I saw him before he saw me. His shirt was wrinkled. His hair wasn't styled. His eyes were tired. Dylan noticed him too. "Should we leave?" Dylan asked. "No," I said, swirling my martini. "Let him come to us." And he did. James crossed the room like a man walking toward his own execution. He stopped at the edge of our table, his hands stuffed in his pockets. "Claire," he said, his voice low. "James. Can we talk?" "We are talking," I said, sipping my drink. James shifted uncomfortably. "Alone?" "No." James's jaw tightened. He glanced toward Dylan. "This isn't your business." "It's very much my business," Dylan replied. "Since you dragged me into this mess." James's eyes hardened. "You sent that video to HR," he said to me. I smiled. "Yes." "And you sent the screenshots to Madison's company." "Correct." "And you leaked the story to the press." "Not directly," I said sweetly. James's nostrils flared. "You ruined my life." I tilted my head. "No, James. You ruined your life. I just made sure everyone saw it." James's eyes darkened. "Claire, we were good together. Until you decided to screw my best friend," I interrupted. "It was a mistake." "No," I said, standing. "Sleeping with her once might have been a mistake. Doing it for a year? That was a choice." James opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, Madison appeared. She had clearly been drinking. Her eyes were glassy, her makeup slightly smudged. "James?" she said, coming toward him. James's face twisted. "What are you doing here?" "I followed you," Madison said, smiling like it was cute. "I thought we could talk." "Madison. After everything we've been through, I miss you." James's jaw clenched. "We're not together, Madison," he said sharply. "But we could be," she said, grabbing his arm. "We can fix this." James shook her off. "No." Madison stumbled back, her face crumbling. "You don't get to do this to me," she snapped. "You don't get to leave me out here to dry." James's face twisted with disgust. "You think this is my fault?" he hissed. "You're the one who kept pushing. You're the one who wanted this." "Excuse me." Madison's voice sharpened. "You seduced me." James growled. "Oh, please," Madison spat. "You begged for it." The bar had gone silent. Everyone was listening now. Madison's eyes suddenly darted toward me. "You're loving this, aren't you?" she sneered. "Watching us turn on each other?" "I'm not doing anything," I said mildly. "You ruined us." Madison screamed. "No, Madison," I said calmly. "You ruined yourselves." James turned toward Madison, his expression dark. "We're done," he said coldly. "James." I said we're done. James walked away, disappearing toward the exit. Madison's mouth opened in shock. She spun toward me. "I hope you're happy," she hissed. "Oh, I am," I said, smiling. Madison turned and stormed out. I sat back down, smoothing my dress as Dylan handed me my drink. "Well," Dylan said, grinning. "That was dramatic." "It was inevitable," I said. "Do you feel bad?" "Not even a little." 2 days later, James sent me a single text. "James, I'm leaving town. Congratulations. You got what you wanted." I smiled and deleted the message. Madison, her social media had gone silent. Her PR career was over. Her friendships were gone. A week later, I met Dylan for dinner. "So what's next?" Dylan asked. "Moving on," I said. "Together." I smiled. "Let's see where it goes." And as Dylan reached for my hand, I realized that I had already won. Because James and Madison had nothing left. And I had everything. The next morning it happened. Madison went nuclear. She posted a long, rambling statement on Instagram, A pathetic attempt at reclaiming control of the narrative. People make mistakes. Sometimes you lose yourself. I never meant to hurt anyone, but some people have gone out of their way to punish me for one bad decision. I think it's time to set the record straight. She went on to accuse me of being controlling, manipulative, and emotionally abusive. Claimed that I had driven James into her arms. Said I was obsessed with controlling everyone around me, including her. It was cute, honestly. And it backfired almost immediately. The comments were brutal. You slept with your best friend's fiancé. This isn't Claire's fault. This is not the apology you think it is. Girl, take the L. But the best part? Odette, Dylan's sister, reposted Madison's statement with a single line. Gaslighting is real. Accountability is better. Madison deleted the post within an hour. But the damage was done. James moved to Chicago 2 weeks later. He took a low-level finance job at a mid-tier firm, a major downgrade from where he had been. Madison, she has posted again, but a picture of her at her parents' house. Starting over, the caption read. Starting over. Funny how that works. Dylan and I sat at the rooftop bar that night, the city lights sparkling below us. So, Dylan asked, do you think they learned their lesson? I don't care, I said honestly. And you? Dylan smiled. I'm good, I said, raising my glass. Because Madison and James were gone. Me? I was exactly where I was supposed to be.